What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Skull Network. My name is Nick. Welcome back to the weekly NFL pick segment on the channel. This is week 14 of the NFL season, and week 13 treated me pretty well. My record last week was 10-4, so it was definitely a bit of a bounce back week, and that brings my overall record up to that number right there. As always, these will be the teams on bye for the week. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into what we're here for. Let's get into the picks. Kicking things off, we have Thursday Night Football between the Pittsburgh Steelers and my Minnesota Vikings. Now, obviously, we all know what the Vikings just did, and we also know that Pittsburgh was able to eke one out against the Ravens because the Harbaughs like to make odd decisions when it comes to trying to tie or win at the end of the game. But regardless, I do not like Ben Roethlisberger, and I know a lot of people don't like Kirk Cousins, but I don't care what you think. You guys know who I am. You know the state of this channel. I'm taking the Vikings, and I'm not going to say anything else. Kicking off the Sunday slate of games, we have the Cowboys and the football team. Now, as we know, the football team has been on a hot streak, very similar to the one that the Patriots have been on, just not quite as dominant. And as we know, the Cowboys, they seem to be returning to their form a little bit. I mean, they took care of business last week. Tony Pollard really took over that game. Micah Parsons continues to show why he's probably the defensive rookie of the year. And I do think that Washington has a great shot in this game. Do not get me wrong, but I do think that their winning streak will come to an end here. I certainly see an upset being possible, but give me the Cowboys to end Washington's win streak. Up next is the Chiefs and the Raiders. Now, as I said in the last video, I think that the Chiefs are very close to being back to what we know them as, and I think a lot of teams should be scared to play them. And I think that the Raiders should very much be afraid because, well, they took care of business last week. The Raiders managed to lose on that last-second field goal to the Washington football team, and this still just continues to be one of those teams where you don't know what you're going to get with them. Honestly, I don't trust them very much, and I trust the Kansas City Chiefs a lot more right now. I don't see the upset happening, but, you know, it's an AFC West battle. Could be close, but give me the Chiefs. Up next, we have the Saints and the Jets. Now, as we know, the Jets continue to play as we expect them to against the Eagles and Gardner Minshew, whereas the Saints, it looks like Taysom Hill is going to continue to be the starter. I think as long as he doesn't throw 4 interceptions, I don't see a reason why the Saints should lose this one. I think that Taysom Hill still has a lot of rushing upside. I mean, he put up 20 points in fantasy with 4 interceptions. I mean, that's pretty special if you ask me. But honestly, this is probably going to be one of those games where a lot of people don't watch unless you're a fan of one of these teams. But honestly, I think I'm going to go with the chalk on this one and give me the Saints. Up next is the Browns and the Ravens. We have the AFC North matchup. Now, as we know, the Ravens had one of the more interesting finishes last week, whereas the Browns, they just still continue to really not impress me. Baker Mayfield continues to play injured when in reality he should not be doing that at all. It really is hurting the team. They should put Case Keenum in, and honestly, I think this game has one of the best chances for an upset this week, but honestly, I just still don't like what the Browns are doing, and if Baker Mayfield continues to play the way that he has, I don't think they really have much of a shot. I think Lamar kind of turns the Jets back on. It was an off week last week. I say he turns it back on. Give me the Ravens in this one. Up next, we have the Falcons and the Panthers, 2 teams fighting for a playoff spot at 5-7. It's weird to say that 2 teams with that record could be getting in at this point. As we know, Cam had a major off week the last time that he played. The Falcons, they're just one of these teams where honestly, I really couldn't care less about them. This is kind of like that Saints and the Jets game. A lot of people probably aren't going to be caring too much about this game, but I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Cam, and I can understand your reasoning, but honestly, I feel like he's going to have a bounce back. I think it's going to be similar to his first game when he came back. Honestly, the Falcons really just don't have a lot to impress me with. I mean, honestly, this is one of those games where I kind of could hardly care less, but give me what I think a lot of people is going to think is an upset in the Panthers. Up next is the Seahawks and the Texans. As we know, the Texans got just completely routed by Indianapolis. There's no other way to say it. And the Seahawks finally pulled out their first win with Russell Wilson back. And honestly, I think that's a really good sign for them. And honestly, this is still the Texans, and I don't care how poor the Seahawks have played aside from last week. I can't give the Texans like anything going into this. Give me Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. Up next is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. Now, as we know, the Titans have just been completely underperforming. Ryan Tannehill has kind of been exposed as being a pretty average quarterback when he doesn't have A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, and a pretty average defense. Honestly, just not the most impressive team I've seen as of late, but they are going against the Jaguars, so that is definitely very good for them. Gives them a much better chance. And I know that the Jaguars have been playing extremely poor and should not have a chance in this game. But I don't know. I feel like this might be a coming out game for Trevor Lawrence. I don't have much of a reason behind it, but I'm going to go with the upset on this one. And I'm going to say that Tennessee continues to struggle a bit here. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. Up next is the Lions and the Broncos. I ain't going to talk about the Lions because I'm still obviously salty about that. The Broncos, of course, didn't show up very well against Kansas City. But honestly, this Lions team is not capable of going on a run of multiple wins in a row. Even though I don't like how Denver's been playing, I am going to take them in this one. Up next is the Giants and the Chargers. Now, I called it last week that the Chargers would have their bounce back. They certainly did. They took care of business handily against Cincinnati. And the Giants are, well, they're still the Giants. And honestly, I think the Chargers are going to continue to play well because they need to keep their spot in the playoffs and make a major push. So honestly, I don't see the Giants having much of a chance here, especially if Mike Glennon continues to play. I'm not sure on the status of Daniel Jones at the moment, but for the time being, give me the Chargers. Up next is the Bills and the Bucks. Now, the Bills played one of the weirdest games that we've seen in a long time this last week, whereas the Bucks, they're all still what you expect. Honestly, the Bills have not played very well against winning teams at all this year. I think they might have one win against a team with an above 500 record. They really do need to play bad teams, it seems, to be able to have a chance. And I think even with Antonio Brown out still, I think that there is enough there in Tampa Bay still. I don't know if they're going to be making it to the Super Bowl this year. There's just a lot of competition in the NFC at the moment, but I do think that they can handle this one pretty well just with how the Bills have been playing. I don't see the Bills bouncing back quite yet. Give me the Bucks in this one. Up next is the 49ers and the Bengals. Now, like I said, the Bengals definitely underperformed, and that offense just hasn't been doing as much as we, generally expect them to do in the last few weeks. The 49ers, I honestly haven't been really paying much attention to them. I'm going to be 100% honest. I know that Elijah Mitchell played quite well last week, and honestly, that entire team played pretty good last week. But I'm going to go with what I said about the Chargers last week. They ended up beating on the Bengals. I think the Bengals have a bounce back week. I think that the 49ers will actually keep this one very close, but ultimately, I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get that connection going again, and I think they put up big points this week. Give me the Bengals. Sunday Night Football is the oldest rivalry in the NFL, the Bears and the Packers. I don't really need to talk much about this one. I don't care who the Bears have under center or anywhere on the field. A basically full-strength Packers team, or close to it, as close as you can get to it right now, is not going to be losing to basically any team anytime soon, except for the Vikings. Give me the Packers in this one over the Bears. It's not going to be particularly close. And rounding out the week with Monday Night Football is probably one of the games of the week, maybe beside Sunday Night Football. It's going to be the Rams and the Cardinals. Now, obviously, these are two of the top teams in the NFC. The Cardinals, when healthy, have essentially been unstoppable, and the Rams, up until last week, really have been underperforming. And of course they're going to blow out the Jaguars. I mean, who isn't going to do that? Regardless, I just don't see anyone really beating the Cardinals anytime soon. Until playoff time, they're not really going to face any competition that can really challenge them. So, as much as I do like Matt Stafford, and as much as I like, basically the entire Rams team, it's just hard for me to see the Cardinals losing at full strength, and that's what they're at right now. Give me the Cardinals. And that's going to wrap up this week's picks, everyone. If you thought they were great or if you thought they were awful, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the button down below to subscribe so you can be a part of the jersey giveaway for 1,000 subscribers. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like as well. And if you want to share this video with anyone, you can do that with anyone on any platform. And if it's a crack dealer on the corner, that's your guys' best option. You guys already know. My name is Nick, and I'll see you guys all in the recap between the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers coming out on Thursday. Adios.